get a showcase game for Kaminga. And it's interesting to see if that will be the trend, at least up until the trade deadline, where it's like, hey, Jimmy's out or Steph's out. Kaminga, you're going to start. You're going to play the whole first half. Like, and, we're going to feature you because we know that's what you want, and perhaps to showcase you to the rest of the league. And that's what we got in this third preseason game last night in Los Angeles. Of course, no LeBron, no Luka, no Steph, no Jimmy, no Al Horford. Draymond played because he's fat, which we all understand. No, listen, I'm not mad at all that Draymond showed up a little chunky, right? Like, he's in his mid-30s, like he's a made man. I think the danger in Draymond being heavy and a little out of shape is, can he get through without getting chipped up and having an injury while he works his way into shape? But I think that's probably why Draymond played. Like, he needs to get out on the floor and shed a few. But Kaminga plays, I think, the entire first half, and there was some good and there was some bad. Let's start with the ball handling. One of my patrons had asked me, like, elaborate, because I had made mention, like, I'm not sure the handle is quite what he thinks it is yet. And look, there's no doubt it's sharper. It's tighter. If you any type of ball handling, if you do it over and over again, you're just going to be more comfortable dribbling the ball. But I think what I'm looking for is a little more ball manipulation. Pause. Meaning, the longer the basketball is in your hand, the more control you ultimately have, the more options you have. Like, when it's up in your hand, when you pocket it, if you watch like the really elite ball handlers, yeah, they got the machine gun, like pat, 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 pat moves, but the majority of the time, the ball actually suspends in their hands longer than an average ball handler, which allows them to manipulate the ball and, like, in and out, pocket it, pass it, hezzy, and control the angles. And so in the past, and with Kaminga, he does a lot of machine gun patting of the ball. And I was looking for him to show a little more ball manipulation. Less is more. And he showed some of that in this game. It's in my breakdown today on Patreon right now. The link will be in the description, where the ball, he pocketed it and he allowed him to kind of survey the floor, survey which way he wanted to attack. And so that's progress. But I think that what you can't help but be impressed with is the passing. And he had, another 6 assists. And there's a learning curve to it. Like, he had a turnover where he tried to skip it, I think, to Draymond in the corner, and Hachimura got a hand on it, right? Like, the next layer, the important thing is he's willing to make the pass and he's capable of doing it with his style of play. He puts so much pressure on you downhill, especially when you can give him a hit ahead. Ask Jake LaRavia about the hit ahead pass, boy. Baptized him with the left hand. I don't even think he planned, like, I'm gonna go up and apex on him. I think he went up with the left hand and he was like, oh, I'm here, bow, and gave it to him. Either way, it was an impressive play. But back to the passing and the hit-aheads, and he put so much pressure, he collapses the defense because he's so aggressive, he's so athletic, that he's going to be kicking it out. And there's a layer of, he's willing to make the pass, he's making the right read. Is it on time, and is it the right type of pass? Does it need to be a bounce pass? The turnover to Draymond in the corner, he probably needed to put a little more air on it, right? It was on a rope, and that's what allowed Hachimura to get his hand on the ball. But then the other layer would be manipulating the defense with your eyes, right? Like, look, kind of stare to the dunker spot, then hit it to the corner. That would be the next layer. But I think the more he does it, the better he's going to get, and that's super important. And then he's flashed some impressive work on the post, some Jimmy Butler-like stuff. Now, does it look like Jimmy? No, but it's the same concept. He had one early on, I don't know if it was Reeves or Connect, on the left block, where he took him to the middle of the floor, he worked him to the middle of the floor, easy drop step back to the left hand. And then he had another one that was Jimmy-like, where he caught it, he faced up and ripped through right away to the baseline. And so you're seeing the growth, man. I think the interesting thing is he had a phase of minutes in the second quarter where he had like 3 or 4 turnovers. He got hit with a couple travels, he turned it over. Some of it wasn't his fault. Like, one of them, Buddy got him the ball late in a weird spot where he was trailing Buddy. And I think at that point he was like, all right, Buddy's going to jack this up. Let me go to the basket. And then he kind of caught it in no man's land. And then another one where Quentin Post, I don't know why Quentin in that first half was rolling out of the pick and roll instead of popping. He created several turnovers for the Warriors because he decided he wanted to roll to the basket. But, Kaminga, I think, I think what he's going to learn is, and again, he's only 22. Is he 23? Did he turn 23? The bag work that myself and others have criticized in the offseason. I think you're seeing it like he's not fundamentally sound on the catch out of the triple threat. Now, I know a lot of guys in the NBA get away with the change of the quick pivot foot or moving the foot before the ball comes down. But that's where the bag work, he needs to slow down and just understand the basic fundamentals of that triple threat. He's so explosive, he doesn't gotta rush. But if you're in a fast car, you're gonna drive fast, right? So I understand it, but I don't think the fundamentals are quite there with the bag work. But you're seeing growth in other areas, right? And so I think that's good. But he had a couple of turnovers, and you're like, oh man, and that would traditionally have been where Kerr's like, all right, you're up out of here. We won't see you, maybe not the rest of the game, but certainly not the rest of this half. But because it was preseason, because the vets were resting, he got to play through it. And that's where the Laravia baptism happened. Then he comes down, dimes Pat Spencer up off a pick and roll. And so overall, I thought the floor game, his floor game was good. The three ball certainly has more arc on it. We've seen a couple in the corner. And I thought overall it was a good showing for him. The numbers don't jump off the page. He was a -10, but, it was very preseason-y in that game. But, it was a combined 44 turnovers between the two teams. And I think that, the big separator was the Lakers. The Lakers shot 35 free throws to the Warriors 8. Kerr was hot, right? And credit to the Lakers telecast, because they acknowledged it. They were like, this is kind of crazy. Like, this is wild, right? But that's Lakers. That's the Lakers for you. I think the size of the Lakers, it's not that they shouldn't have shot a bunch of free throws. It's that we should have shot more than 8. That's the issue with it. But that was really, I think, the gap in the score. It wasn't like they were getting like brutally outplayed. And then I think the other marquee matchup was Podziemski versus Austin Reeves. And Austin is such a wide body. I think he's way stronger and plays stronger and heavier than you would assume. And when he gets you on his hip and with his craft, like he's a bucket, man. And so he kind of bully balled Pods a couple times early. He hit a 3, got him with a reach in 3 free throws, but Pods gets going. Was it that second? It was the third quarter where he had 14 points. 8 assists, a lot of them came in transition. I like him looking to distribute in transition. Every play is its own play. Every play is dynamic. If you have the shot, take the shot. But I think in the past, we've seen him try to finish a lot in transition. Dime it out. He was doing that, right? You saw the floater. You saw some of the mid-ranger. And to me, Pods, he's a rhythm scorer. And so, look, there's going to be nights where, we're at full strength and it's like, all right, do your role player thing at 50-50 balls, rebound, and just make the extra plays. But on the nights where they're like, Pods, we're going to need 15, 20 points from you, he needs more volume, right? You have to understand who he is as a basketball player. He's someone who's had the ball in his hands his entire life as a guard, as a lead guard. And so he's much more of a rhythm scorer than you take like a Seth Curry or a Melton, who's really good at Damian Lee, Sidell, what were we calling him? Mr. Sidell, whatever the nickname was. He was so good at coming in. He'd only get 4 shots and he'd make 3 of them, right? That's not Pods. He needs the rhythm of the ball. And I think that the floater is going to be really big for him in year 3, because when you talk about finishing at the rim, most people focus on verticality. Like, can they play above the rim? Are they fast? But the other part of it is your length and your hip bend. Hip bend is a term you hear a lot in football with like the pass rushers, right? And Pods has decent bounce when he has a runway. He definitely does, right? You don't rebound that way without any bounce at his size. But he doesn't have hip bend or length. And the ability, like D'Anthony Melton, when he's out there, you'll see his hip bend and his ability to like elongate and stretch and find angles allows him to finish around the basket like dynamically. And Pods doesn't have that necessarily. So I think the float game in year 3 could be a big asset for him, as well as the midi. And the midi, again, it's movement. If he gets to the nail at a standstill, it's over. He's not going to be able to elevate and get that off. It has to be like downhill out of movement where he has the juice in his legs to spring up into it. You saw it several times in the second half against the Lakers. And frankly, he went blow for blow with Austin Reeves. Would he have 23 points, 8 assists? I know it's preseason, but I think, many people consider Austin Reeves one of the best, if not the best, third scoring option in the NBA. And so for Pods to go blow for blow with him in this game, can't be mad at that. He looks good, man. He looks good. What else? I thought Trace Jackson looked pretty good. They only credited him with 2 blocks. But the reality is he still is by far our best shot blocker. And Al Horford, he's our best rim protector, right? He's going to alter shots at the rim and be there and contest. But Trace, when I mean shot blocker, it's the fear of him blocking your shot alters decisions, right? He's a guy that everyone in the league knows now. What is it, year 3 or 4? Year 3, like Pods. That he's so bouncy, he gets up so quick, like it changes the decision of the offensive player with the ball. And I thought he got, his fingertips, and he got several blocks. He was a little late rolling early in the first half, but I thought I would have liked to seen him on DeAndre Ayton instead of the Quentin Post matchup. And so I think that is something that we have to monitor. I think most of us, myself included, assume Post is ahead of him on the depth charts because of the rest of the front court, right? Quentin can play with Kaminga, he can play with Jimmy. And, I'm curious to see when Trace gets used and if he cracks the rotation, because he still does provide an athletic pop at the 5 spot that you just can't get anywhere else. And I thought he looked pretty good. But yeah, the Lakers 35 free throws is crazy. And, you got this LeBron thing where someone had asked me, what did you think about his Hennessy ad? I had a whole video queued up of notes and a thumbnail and everything, just talking about, all right, this is the retirement season, for LeBron. He got me for sure. And I just wonder if LeBron is going to hijack this season from the Lakers, as far as he's got the nerve issue right now, the sciatica. That's spooky at his age for sure. But if it's just like going to constantly be like a LeBron side story for this team, I won't be mad at it. The other thing that I'm curious to monitor is JJ Redick and Luka, because JJ is wound so tight and he's so intense. I'm curious to see how they mesh and how they work with the coach and player relationship. But you got Portland, where I think the vets will play again. Curious at the backup 5 spot minutes. Will Richard continues to look really good. I just don't know where there's any minutes for him, but I think it was a hit with the draft pick. And the Kaminga stuff is fascinating. Right now, I'm feeling pretty good about it. Outside of the comments made, I know there was a story about asking. Listen, to me, it's say less. Say less. I'm no longer going to give him a cultural pass like he doesn't quite say less. Go out there and just play ball. It doesn't need to be said in maybe a little bit of media training. Certainly his agent hasn't done that. Like, hey, just say less. Just say the diplomatic, the PC thing, and just keep it moving. But on the court, I don't really have any complaints. Defensively, you're still seeing the brain farts where he's just not ready to pick up the ball or he's not ready to defend. But that just may be who he is, right? Be back with the Portland Game 4 preseason game, as well as all the breakdowns on the Patreon. The link will be in the description. Hit that like, share, and subscribe. I'm out, y'all.